Hi there everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Prestige Liquids. My name is Andrew, and as always it is fantastic to have you here with me again on another whiskey review video. In today's video I am going to be reviewing the latest releases from Johnnie Walker. This is the Black Ruby. Unfortunately, there is very little information available about this whiskey. Really, the only thing that I know about it is that essentially it is being released, I think, in Australia, or at least like the Australasia region first, even say before the UK and the US, which for us down here is a very rare opportunity. It is not something that happens very often at all. Unfortunately, even down to cask types and things like that, I've got no idea. So we're pretty much going into this thing blind. We'll see how we go. It is bottled at 40%, which is stock standard for, I guess, most Johnnie Walker products. Let's pour some into the glass and see how we go. It's also an NAS, so non-age statement. So it will be a variant of like the black label, just like how the double black is. So alright, let's move along and see how we go. So on the nose, alright, so it does, on the nose it does have your typical black label characteristics. It has a subtle smokiness to it, quite a bit of like honey, orchard fruits as well, so your apples and pears are all there. It has a certain citric element, so I'm getting a bit of orange rind, a little bit of lemon and lime. It's also quite herbal and grassy, so I'm getting touches of like lavender and dry grass, maybe a touch of thyme. It does also have a bit of a subtle fortified cask influence to it. So look, there could be some like sherry or port cask influence, but again, I don't have the actual information available to confirm that. But that's just kind of like the general vibe that I'm getting from this at the moment. Raisins, stewed fruits. I'm getting like prunes and figs as well. This is actually a very enjoyable nose. Let's see, hopefully it will also translate onto the palate as well. So let's see how we go on the palate. I have to say I'm actually quite surprised. This is actually a lot nicer than I thought it was going to be. So imagine the smoky characteristics that you get from double black, but mix into that like those like stewed fruits, again, those raisins, figs, prunes. It does have more of a fortified cask influence, especially in comparison to the standard 12-year-old black label. The one downfall that I find, it is lacking in a bit of depth. I mean, it is bottled at 40%, so it, as we all know, typically if it was bumped up to say maybe about 42, 45, I think you would get a lot more depth of flavor to it. Having said that though, it does have a nice spicy element as well that I think helps just bump up that that texture and that overall feel of the whiskey. Yeah, I am getting more of that honeysuckle, not so much of the like honey note, but more of like the honeysuckle. Again, that lavender is still there. It's also quite grassy and earthy. Again, those dried grass elements are there. A little bit leathery, a touch of tobacco. There's also some nice like dark chocolate rum raisin coming into it as well. I would say overall the flavor profile of this is very enjoyable. I think that this is a Johnnie Walker expression that most people will enjoy. It isn't as smoky as the double black, so if you are somebody that's put off by say more smokier or peatier whiskies, I mean, not that I would consider the double black to be like an exceptionally peated whiskey, but For some, especially those that are just getting into whiskey, you may find it to be a bit rough at times, but this is, I think, the perfect middle ground between the standard 12-year-old black label and the double black. I think it showcases the positives of the flavor profiles in both of those whiskeys and marries them together quite well in this one. So yeah, that's the Black Label Ruby. Moving on to the finish, it's quite mellow, not very long, short to medium finish. I'm getting more like vanilla elements to it at the moment. There's a touch of smoke that comes through as well. It's also a little bit nutty, so I'm getting hints of like almond and cashew, and also like a touch of milk chocolate that just kind of wraps up everything into like a nice little neat bundle. So yeah, I mean, with the exception of the lower ABV, obviously I would prefer if this was bottled a little bit higher, just to give that little bit of extra depth. This is a perfect beginner whiskey. I think if you're starting off your journey into whiskey and you're wanting a very good entry point, then I would definitely recommend trying this. I think it also has something a little bit to offer for the more experienced drinkers as well. There are a few like underlying notes that I say more experienced drinkers may be able to pull out of this, but it also has a lot of good dominant flavors in it as well that newer drinkers would be able to learn a lot from and then progress further on into their whiskey journey. So yeah, this one, it definitely gets a recommendation from me. I would gladly keep this stocked on my shelf, but I think that's pretty much all I need to say about this. I think if this is a whiskey that you've tried before, drop me a comment down below, let me know what you thought of it. I do like to find out like what other people's opinions are, whether you liked it or not, but yeah, definitely let me know down below. Well, now that's enough from me. I'll see you all again on the next video. KIPPIS. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you go ahead and check out some of these other videos that I have done in the past. I'll catch you all again next time. Bye bye.